We might know soon whether the massive buildup of Russian forces on the border with Ukraine is a bluff, part of some brute force diplomatic gambit, or, alternatively, exactly what it appears to be. A prelude to a wider assault on Ukraine. The roughly 100,000 Russian troops within striking distance of Ukraine certainly are well equipped. They've staged along the border with more than 1,000 tanks, hundreds of artillery pieces and rocket launchers, and a host of specialist vehicles. Radio jammers, artillery tracking radar, smoke generators. Arguably the most frightening for Ukraine's beleaguered defenders, hunkering in their trenches, are the Russian army's TOS-1 rocket launchers. If the Russians roll west, the TOS-1S could shoot first, targeting the Ukrainians' earthworks with their 220mm thermobaric rockets. Thermobaric munitions are uniquely destructive. They burst over their targets, spreading a fuel vapor, before exploding and igniting the fuel and creating a pressure wave that's twice as powerful as that from a conventional artillery shell. A fuel-air explosive can have the effect of a tactical nuclear weapon without residual radiation, Lester Grau and Timothy Smith explained in a 2000 article in Marine Corps Gazette. Since a fuel-air mixture flows easily into any cavities, neither natural terrain features nor non-hermetically sealed field fortifications, emplacements, covered slit trenches, bunkers, protect against the effects of fuel-air explosives. If a fuel-air charge is fired inside a building or bunker, the cloud is contained and this amplifies the destruction of the load-bearing components of the structure. Worried about your enemy's trenches and bunkers? Blast them with a few fuel-air rockets. Fuel-air can be an effective weapon against exposed enemy personnel, combat equipment, fortified areas and individual fighting positions, Grau and Smith noted. This isn't just theory. The Russians deployed TOS-1S in combat in Afghanistan's defiant Panjshir Valley in the 1980s and reportedly again in Chechnya in 2000, both times to devastating effect. More recently, the Russian, Syrian and Iraqi armies used TOS-1S against rebels and militants. Azerbaijan apparently deployed TOS-1S in its brief, bloody campaign against Armenia in 2020. As far back as 2015, Russia sent at least one TOS-1 to boost pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. In September that year, observers for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe noted a TOS-1 among tanks at a training area in a separatist-controlled area near Luhansk. It's pretty obvious that the TOS-1 in eastern Ukraine in 2015 had a Russian crew. It's highly unlikely that separatist forces alone possess the training and logistics to support and operate a weapon as specialized as the TOS-1. 6 years later, TOS-1S again were in position to support Russian and separatist forces in eastern Ukraine. In April 2021, social media users in Russia spotted a TOS-1 among other vehicles on a train heading toward the Russia-Ukraine border. It might be cold comfort to Ukrainian infantry staring across no man's land at the distinctive, blocky shape of an approaching TOS-1, but the vehicle actually is pretty vulnerable. The launcher's 220mm rocket has modest range for an artillery system, just 3 miles or so, depending on the version. That's just slightly farther than the max range of Ukraine's infantry-launched anti-tank missiles, including the highly lethal American-made Javelin. Infantry packing anti-tank missiles, scurrying across a network of trenches and bunkers, are central to Ukraine's defense plans. Rooting out these missileers is one of the TOS-1's main missions. But first, it has to get close, potentially exposing it to the same missiles it's trying to suppress.